A-E-1 source.
My name is Joey Desktop, or Joe Jeffers, as far as my birth certificate says. I'm an artist with a special interest in nightclubs and public life. When I first arrived to the Knockdown Center, it's one person's painting studio that I'm a founding member, you might say. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of being available for people. Not to say like I'm a great person, I have I have my faults as well, but I think in doing this work, you are rewarded by helping. The advice I would give them is be like, lose the most money that you can possibly on something that you think is really cool. And if you still want to keep going after, then maybe there's hope for you. And I'm here at Sometime, Somewhere for AT1 Radio. The first time I moved to New York, which has happened a few times now, I was 24 years old and I had just gotten a job working for the New Art Dealers Alliance. I was responsible for their membership program and all their public and private events. I was pretty sure this was going to be the beginning of a long career in the visual arts. It was not. I think I lasted maybe 10 months. It was a great experience. I actually went to Europe for the first time with Nada. They took me to Cologne, which was great. I'm not really that interested in going to Germany these days, but but it was nice. It was nice. The Brauhaus was good. Experienced some quality constipation and, generally explore the sites. It was cool to be... why are we talking about Cologne, Germany, when we're supposed to talk about New York? But anyway, so New York didn't last long for me at first. I'm originally from Chicago. I packed my bags and left shortly after I was fired from my job, which was not a pleasant experience. But I think coming here is always rough, no matter where you're from, no matter how much money you have. For me, I was making $30,000 a year, not living well, living with someone who I didn't speak to in a 2-bedroom apartment with like no living room. I mean, I think everybody has their own version of this story, and the struggle never ends here. Certainly, it doesn't seem that way to me now. So what happened to me at that point? I was partnered. I was nearly married. So coming back to New York was really actually about my partner's career. She had become the chief curator of the Museum of Arts and Design here, which during my job at NADA, we had kind of, I won't say that we decided as a couple, but at least I decided that I needed to be here to pursue my work. There wasn't an ability for me to get paid in Chicago. So she was an entrepreneur in Chicago, and I think she very much took the opportunity in New York to kind of make me happy, which was a nice thing to do. I had very much wanted to be working at the Knockdown Center. I was involved in very preliminary conversations about opening the center when I was here for NADA. So long story short, there was not a job for me in Chicago, and I thought, wow, I can help open this huge art center, and that's exactly what I want to do. I'm somebody that's accustomed to working at a very large scale. That seems like a good fit for me. When I first arrived to the Knockdown Center, it's one person's painting studio, and, essentially, this guy David's living room. But essentially, me, Michael, and David, and Tyler, who's the director now, I had kind of introduced him to the conversation because he had come from House of Blues brand management, so I knew that he could run this thing operationally, and I actually had no interest in running it operationally, to be honest. Like, I'm a skilled operator, but it's the last job he's ever going to have, and it's a good job, but I'm sure it occupies more space than he has available in his life. Anyway, the first time I really worked there, they didn't have a liquor license yet, so we were trying all these smaller programs. I lost my ass trying to do a festival there. I think I lost $10,000. I really didn't have, which was great. You know, I mean, I think like, I don't know. I have a friend in Chicago who does the same type of work as me. And we always say this, it's like, you know, to a 22 or 23-year-old kid that wants to get involved with nightlife or work in the music industry, it's like, what's the best advice you could give them? The advice I would give them is be like, lose the most money that you can possibly on something that you think is really cool. And if you still want to keep going after, then maybe there's hope for you, you know. Because I do think you have to stake a claim in order to have any presence in the field. And if you're not willing to personally stand behind it, then why should anyone else, you know? I mean,
Absolutely.
so that was my moment. I think I fainted paying out the last $1,000. I know I fainted, but it was kind of like a piñata moment. Like it was raining $20 bills. Yeah. But anyway, that was a big learning experience. And then when I came back to New York, they had just got their liquor license and just figured out the paperwork properly. So the question is, okay, well, what are we going to do now? We don't have to pull temporary permits. How do we get some real programming started here? And that's where I really kind of sunk my teeth in. Again, it didn't last very long. I mean, I think there, after a while, there wasn't a job for me, and I had made the inroads for them that needed to be made. And of course, when something like this comes to exist, it's like a portal opens, and it's no one's responsible actually for what happens, because what needs to happen will happen if the management style is correct, which the management style there is not correct. But of course, this castle in Queens is going to attract all the energy that it can possibly facilitate. So, I was really charmed to be part of it. I think, in a way, I was a little disappointed because I did want to be part of the general team there. I mean, it's helped me a bit now because I can say that I consulted on it and that I'm a founding member, you might say, and that's been now a situation that's happened to me a number of times. So I'm thankful for that piece of the puzzle in terms of giving me some resolve in my professional identity, I think, or giving me a pathway forward. Because I think always throughout my career, I've struggled to find another model for what I'm trying to do, you know, and I think now that I'm a little bit older, I'm glad that I never found one, you know, because you need to do it your own way, and you're more valuable if you're not like everyone else, you know. And in certain ways, I am like everyone else. I mean, I had one very important job. I was a general manager of a club, right, that I started. And I got in a little disagreement with the ownership there. And I think maybe a week later, there was someone who looked identical to me in a management seat. So much so that like my friends from former business relationships, they said, "Hey, we went to the club last night. Why didn't you say hi to us?" You were super rude. I mean, you looked pretty handsome, but like you were super rude. Like, what's come over you? Just to say, I mean, even when you feel like you're really indispensable in New York City, for sure you're not, you know. And I've definitely worked with people who happily hand low wages to people who want to pursue their dreams. And I think that's not a New York thing. That's an industry trend. You know, it's a pay-to-play type of industry, I think, at this point, even at the highest levels, which is always shocking to me. Well, I think probably like a lot of people, you maybe are attracted to the idea of working in nightclubs or art galleries or art centers or whatever have you to infiltrate those spaces, to be able to participate in them as well. So I think I'm no different. I've done all this basically to figure out what it means to have a life as an artist. And I think from my troubleshooting so far, I would say it's tremendously difficult. So I spend a lot of my time wearing the suit jacket for my friends. I think I'm able to participate on the business side, which I don't know if I even really expected, but I'm happy to do that because I'm able to deliver resources to the people I think deserve them. And in New York City, that list is really long. I've worked with just some amazing people here, and they're all struggling. Even the ones who are famous, just kind of have a new burden. So I try to look out for my friends. Maybe not all of them anymore. I think I don't regret anything in my life, but I would say that I've given a lot. I've spent a lot of time platforming and making sure that there's reliable places for people to do their work. And I think some of that time I probably would have been preferring to do my own work, just to sit around and make beats. At the end of the day, it's like I was doing that before I came here. I'm going to do that when I leave, I don't want to give myself a badge of courage in any way. I think there's definitely 50 artists out there that I've helped substantially and build their careers. And, part of the reason I don't take any credit is that there's a lot of disagreement about that. There's people I think for sure I've put on my shoulders, but I don't know if they want to look at it that way. And I actually don't need to be rewarded in that way. I think a lot of the artists that I work with are just my really close friends. So I think the stuff you do for your close friends, that stuff, especially for me, I think I've done some really unconventional things for people, especially for my late friend Jamie Branch. I was always kind of the lifeline for her. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of being available for people, and not to say I'm a great person. I have I have my faults as well, but I think in doing this work, you are rewarded by helping. Well, when I first came to let's say Williamsburg, you couldn't get a taxi there, and people were having big indie rock parties, TV on the Radio was just coming out, and Grizzly Bear, and you had Glasslands and 285 Ken and all these kind of warehouse indie spaces, which looked pretty good to me, and I think I ended up working with Todd P. and Rick and Rami, all the people that were running those spaces, and I think I really I adopted their ethos. All those guys are 10 or 15 years older than me, and I share skin with them. I think we're not all best friends or anything, but I think the work that they did kind of laid the groundwork for what's happening now, and I was sort of involved in the middle, in working at Transpicos, I worked for Todd P. And I think Todd P., a lot of people, maybe would say negative things about him, but I think this guy's been the backbone of independent culture in Brooklyn for a really long time. His Space Market Hotel as well. So seeing things through his lens made Brooklyn seem like a really viable place for independent artists. There was this amazing pool of people, and everyone was friendly and throwing these small nights, and, aren't we all happy? I don't think that exists as easily anymore. Transpicos, for instance, is still available for people, and I think that's actually really important because there's not a bunch of small clubs anymore. A lot of these places want $5,000 or $10,000 hire fees for a night. It's if you want to do Silo or something. Let's say if you're a promoter and you're trying to get involved now. Just to talk about now, I will say public records elsewhere nowadays. You have these enormous clubs with enormous queues. What Basement has become, and these lines are not easy to get through. you're no longer dealing with people necessarily. The people going to clubs aren't necessarily there for the music, right? Which I'm not going to say. I do club management consulting. I'm cool with a business making money. So, but do I want to go to your club once it's full of finance guys that are paying $80 to get in and have their Visa Black Card attached to their wristband? No, I don't. And that makes New York challenging for me personally now, because I'm also just somebody who enjoys this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I think I'm able to do it really well because, like, I enjoy it at every level. Like, I enjoy working there. I enjoy making the music. I enjoy standing in the crowd and taking literally. Like, I like all those things, and I'm able to actually judge them pretty well. You know, like, as somebody who's traveling and pays pretty close attention. Like, I know what a good club looks like. You know.
AE1 short.
At Sometime Somewhere is produced by Audio-Technica for AT1 Radio. It is recorded at AT1 Studio at Technica House, New York. Follow AT1 Radio and Audio-Technica USA on all social media platforms. Thanks for listening.